Turn to Jonah chapter 2.
Want to look at, think about that.
But lo and behold, I did.
Man, we walked on water on that gravel, dude. It would have taken me an hour and a half to get it into the thing. He was there in 2 minutes. He had no shoes on.
All right.
What did the police guy want?
Just to update us.
Okay.
What's the update?
Yeah, what's the update?
That he's told to come back and clean his stuff up.
Oh, good.
And if he sees him here later, he will arrest him.
If I see your way around these parts again.
And again, I'm only calling because the family has asked me to. You turn my Bible page?
We were headed towards verse 10. We didn't know we were running for it.
All right, let's pray. Father, once again, we are thankful for a Wednesday night together, a chance to open our Bibles and learn a little bit about it. Pray to bless it and give us guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, I want to show you a new feature we have. Probably help if I turn it on.
Pretty cool.
What you eating there, Joe?
Hey, it's a noisy crowd.
All right, so this on Wednesday night means now that we actually use on Sunday too if we want. Looky there.
What are you pointing it at? The screen or the?
This?
Yeah.
That's just a...
Is it working from the computer?
Mhm.
Bluetooth.
But now watch this.
We saw all the screens, we're done.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're going to count that as working?
No, look
No.
at it.
Why doesn't it work?
It's just reflecting off the,
Well, okay.
It's on the ceiling.
yeah,
Can you see it under Jerusalem?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see it.
But it works better on that TV.
I mean, if you just say Jerusalem, we can see Jerusalem on the map. You say just right below Jerusalem. Smacking with the stick doesn't make Jerusalem. It's not like you hit it with the stick and you go, oh yeah, there's Jerusalem.
Didn't see that before.
Fine. Is everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just to use the clicker, there you see the time frame. Gath, Heifer, Joppa. Notice opposite direction. Notice also that he bypassed other port cities. He could have gone to any of those, but he went down to Joppa, trying to sneak away from God there. All right, good. Just want to prove the point, and now we can just point it at people. And can I see it? Point and see if it hurts your eyes. Actually, I thought the green laser might. There's a huge difference. Anyways. All right, so in chapter 1, remember that all of the sailors, I can't call them mariners, called on their gods, but nothing happens. We have a boatload, a literal boatload of mariners converted by a disobedient preacher. You know, we get the idea that I want to get to a place where God can use me. However, you're never in that place, and God can use anybody. It's just important for us to step up. We also covered, the miracle, the whale was a miracle of timing. We'll cover that a little bit more at the end. Speculation. You ready? Well, I tried to calculate how long it would take to sail around Africa. Because as you know, this would be, the 9th century BC, there was no Suez Canal yet. So if that fish was going to, whale, whatever it is, was going to swim all the way and then go up the Tigris a ways, because I was thinking, what if you actually dropped them off there and that's what took 3 days? but it takes actually much longer, because I've calculated, and we're taking, 6 minimum days on a fast ship. By the way, I learned of a new vacation thing. Matt, here's what we ought to do for a vacation. You ready? Did you know that you can rent rooms on a cargo ship? You did? There's no amenities. There's no swimming pool. Nothing like that.
There's like no shower, there's,
They said there's a shower.
I have, a friend of mine's brother used to do it, he traveled all over the world.
Yeah, there need to be showers, there need to be air conditioning, which
Yeah,
but anyways,
he roughed it pretty good.
I could not get in a swimming pool in the ocean. Because the bottom of that thing's going to fall out.
You couldn't get on a swimming pool on the ocean?
A swimming pool on a ship in an ocean?
Okay.
No. Because what happens when that thing, falls out in the beginning, you're in the ocean.
The pool is usually on the top deck.
It doesn't matter.
It's in the middle of the
down
top
to
deck.
all the.
Yeah.
It's gotta go through the kitchen in
See, I remember the original Titanic movies? I was in elementary school, and I stopped taking baths because I watched that movie, and I was scared of my bath falling through. So just so you know, I'm just a weird guy. You have to just go ahead and understand that and accept it. Water just never.
How
Here
much
we
does
go.
it cost to go on a cargo ship?
$100 a day.
Okay, well, I mean, like a real cruise is only like $150.
Yeah, but you have to deal with all these other people, and you have to, Carlos the Barracuda's there.
You get to deal with whatever they're cargoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for the occasional pirate. But, hey. So anyways, when you think of a guy on a ship, these guys, mariners, think of them. But anyways, I wonder if, in the speculation, a ship can travel faster than a man on ground. So do you wonder if the ship, what are they going to do? All their cargo is thrown off the ship. Did they continue on to Tarshish? Or did they just kind of go back to Joppa? Remember, they're all saved now. Where do they go? What do they do? And so could it be possible that they went back to Joppa, told the story of Jonah? Jonah's still out there in the middle of the Mediterranean with in the whale's belly, or whatever the case is. And could it be that, his story came before him? I don't know that. Are you in Jonah chapter 2? I want you to do, no, don't turn to it. I'll just go ahead and talk about it. Matthew chapter 12, verse 39. But actually, just go there. I know you're not going to. You're going to look it up on your phone, whatever the case is. Whatever you're going to do, go to Matthew chapter 14. Or you're going to, look at your phone, act like you're looking at the verse, and just start texting somebody. And now that I said it, you're probably going to text me and interrupt the recording. Oh. Did you get your new phone, Jen?
I also found
Oh,
out,
you were texting me. See, what?
I also found out that it's $235 a day to go on a cruise.
There you go.
Per person.
Per person.
What's funny is I found this earlier today, and I said to Lisa, I'm like, hey, that's my kind of cruise. And then the whole conversation got into imagine Matt on something like that. Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
I can't imagine a germaphobe on something like that.
It's not like you're in the cargo hold.
Have you ever looked at a cargo ship?
Can we eat with the crew?
You do eat with the crew.
I can get your Isaac's information. You can ask him about going on cargo ships.
No, the last thing I want to do is talk to somebody I don't know about cargo ships sailing.
He's safe. He's a Christian. Safe.
I don't care.
It's not like he's smoking marijuana with the guys, but
One of the groups that meets here on the third Monday of every month. She sent me an email and asked me, hey, could you call this guy? Because I'm not going to be at our next meeting, and tell him where the key is. No. You can send him an email that says this, and I'll leave the key in a certain place. But no, I'm not going to call say, hey, there's some random guy. No. She doesn't know that I'm Nick Gillespie and I don't. You know. All right, are you all in Matthew chapter? I don't even know why we bother to have a Bible study tonight. No, I do. Matthew chapter 12, look at verse 39.
You said 12 and you said 14. And now you said 12. 39?
Matthew chapter 12.
There is no 1439, so.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, hey, you're the ones that are going to make us here late. Will you pop your head out there and see if my car is still in one piece? No.
It's probably key in the card.
Yeah. Just so you don't see any activity at all.
Is the sleeping bag? Is the sleeping bag?
Everything's still there.
Okay. All right, Matthew chapter 12, verse 39. But he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. See, they're evil and adulterous. And now we say, hey, what? But we still got to see signs. But come to think of it, he really didn't show signs. What he did is he did miracles. Both Elijah and Elijah and Elisha both made food multiply, right? You see these other things that happened. Enoch, somebody touched Elisha, remember the body was thrown in, touched his bones, and was raised back to life. And so those are miracles. And so what Jesus here is referring to, seeketh after a sign. So really what this is it's insulting. It's kind of like, whom say ye that I am? Some say Elias, some say Jeremiah, and one of the prophets. All of those were insulting. Jesus, his sign that he is the Son of God, is that he will be resurrected. Those other things are miracles. You can believe because of them, but remember, tribulation, there's going to be miracles. However, this is different. An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. And remember, just believe is what we're supposed to be doing. And there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. All right, back to Jonah chapter 2. So Jonah has to be viewed in the light then of prophecy. Did I make a mistake last week talking about, is it possible that Jonah was dead for 3 days and 3 nights? Or was he alive and just trying to keep his head above the whatever juices are that are digesting him, trying to breathe? Because remember, he's in a whale, he's not in a fish. So a whale is going to have air coming into him. And it could be that the stomach has, because there are times in history where this has been found where somebody was found alive after time in a whale. However, I'm not bringing those stories because then somebody could find the story and say, you know what, we found that that's not true. No corroborating evidence. And so it's really irrelevant. So what we have to figure out here, and by the way, I don't have an answer for, is if Jonah was dead for 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly or if he was alive. I don't know. So, some hold the position that he was dead, and I didn't realize so many people do. J. Vernon McGee, if you maybe have his commentaries on your e-sword, he believes that he was dead. Dr. Floyd Jones, who I respect quite a bit, believes that he was dead. There's others, and I'm okay with it. If this was the case, then Jonah, remember, was brought back to life, and Jesus was resurrected, and there's a big difference. Being dead and being risen back to life, same body, same person, same everything. Jesus was resurrected, new body, glorified body, and so there's a huge difference there. Same body, but it was transformed. It was, bodily raised, but he was resurrected, glorified body that could pass through, walls and everything else. So,
I have a question.
yes. Hey, Angela, do Mormons baptize by immersion? Okay. Why would a Mormon church not have a baptistry?
I don't know if one doesn't.
Okay. Your question?
Because it says he was, at the end of 17, he was in the belly 3 days and 3 nights, and then it says, then Jonah...
Will you let me teach the lesson?
I'm sorry.
For the love of God,
You're talking
Angela.
about that if he's dead in there, it just dawned on me that he was praying, so he's not dead. Sorry.
See,
That started it.
do you look right? Do you see right there? Do you see that red word?
No. Sorry.
Okay. Patience. So again, Jonah is a great study into how we as humans think. Do you ever get yourself in trouble, pray for it to pass, and it doesn't? You know, imagine, well, Lord, I need to be delivered from this. This is getting old. This is stupid. Okay, I'm sorry. But yet you're still not delivered. You know, your big fish might be, debt. Your big fish might be some other silly thing. And we get ourselves into trouble, pray for deliverance, and it doesn't come immediately. But watch this. Do you ever come to the point where something happened, you get whatever your big fish is, pride, arrogancy, cold heart, whatever the case, and then the Lord gets your attention, and you look back and you say, okay, Lord, I get it, but it doesn't pass. How long do you think it took Jonah to start praying in the mouth of the whale? Probably really quick. If you have J. Vernon McGee's his commentary in your phone, and you read through it, at this point he tells us the story of a guy who was in a mill, and his thumb got stuck in a log that was going down a conveyor belt, but it was so loud that nobody could hear him, and he just had to watch. He kept on going until the bandsaw went to his finger. And then the guy he said more to God in prayer in that 45 seconds than ever before or since. And he used the illustration in Jonah about how much do you think he was praying. So here we have in Jonah chapter 2, we have the prayer of Jonah, and I think it's an abridged version, and but here it is below. Now look at Jonah chapter 2 and verse 1. What's the first word there? Then. Okay. So if you listen to certain people, what they'll say is, in Hebrew literature, I don't know this, so I don't go along with it. I'll put a lot of weight in, I should say. In Hebrew literature, it's normal for them to say then go back and things not be in order. One place that we see that is in Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2 is not in the same order as Genesis chapter 1. But it's not because it's telling a different order. It's just changing it up and then give it to you in the importance of the story. I take the then there to be exactly that, then. So, as we go through this chapter, we're not going to take a long time. It doesn't take a long time. Then the thought is that he was dead for 3 days and 3 nights, and then he was brought back to life in the stomach, and then prayed this. Or it could be that he was really in. I heard some things. You go far into the word Sheol when you get into this stuff. Because hell is really the word Sheol. There is no misinterpretation in Scripture. Y'all know that. Our Bible has every word correct, and sometimes the meaning might be slightly different. When the Bible talks about, Jesus, not leave my soul in hell, that's perfectly true, and the word Sheol would not be appropriate. But anyways, verse 1, then Jonah prayed to the Lord. Oh, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. So what we have to say here is we have to look at this prayer in the light of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So as we read through there, that's what we're going to make a connection to. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly. So we know that he's alive at least for the prayer. We know that. Now whether he was dead up to this point, whether he lived the entire time, both of them are miraculous. Actually, him living in there might not be miraculous because you could just be... Is anybody else here claustrophobic? Imagine this level of being claustrophobic. Not only in a very tight space, but you're trying to hold your head above gastric juices. What would you call those? Whatever it is. And it's pitch black, and everything's moving.
And smell.
And it smells. I didn't even think about that. This is horrible. So if he's alive, that is horrible, but it's possible. But how certainly he could have died and been risen from the dead inside the fish's belly. But even if he was risen from the dead in the fish's belly, he still would have to maintain breath and life while he's in there. So to me, it doesn't make sense to say he's dead, but some people who know a lot more than I do kind of hold to that position. But whatever. And said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. And out of the belly of hell cried I. So belly of hell. So now we're talking both about the whale, we're talking about Jonah, and we're also talking about Jesus Christ. And thou heardst my voice. So it's a sneak preview of Christ. Remember when Jesus died on the cross, his soul, remember he said, today you'll be with me in paradise. So we know that nobody went up to heaven until after the resurrection. So Jesus, his body was in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights, but his soul was in the belly of the earth. And so that's where some people get this, and I'm okay with that. But remember, so Jesus said, today you'll be with me in paradise. Paradise at that time was down before he carried captivity captive. And so Abraham's bosom. And so Jesus was there and preached to the spirits in prison. And on the other side, great gulf affixed, and over there is hell. The rich man's over there begging for water and all that stuff going on. And so after the end of the 3 days and 3 nights, Jesus is risen from the dead, but he also takes captivity captive, is out of there, and takes all those people with him. So you see that it refers then to both. Okay, verse 3, for thou hast cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about, and all thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Which is interesting, because the waves passing over him would right now be a whale's digesting of Jonah. Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again toward thy holy temple. And so now both of them are facing death. Now if Jonah really died here, then he's still saying the same thing. I know that I'm going to come back to life. I will see the temple again. And so Jesus would have said the same. The waters compassed me about, even to the soul. The depth closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped around about my head. Notice the New Testament was kind of descriptive about how Jesus was wrapped and his head wrapping was laid aside. So, I had a new thought today in study. Maybe this actually, because as Jesus died, buying Israel more time, also for salvation, I never thought about this. Is it possible that Jonah, his then going to Nineveh and preaching to the Ninevites and their repentance, bought Israel more time and brought a more compassionate conqueror in the Ninevites who were saved? Because imagine had the Ninevites came and taken northern Israel at this time, they probably would have killed them off. But as it stands, 100 years later, when they bring judgment, it buys Israel time, but it also brings a more compassionate Assyrian Empire who just assimilates them everywhere else to come back at a different time. I thought that was interesting. So I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. So that would be hell, but that would also be maybe a whale in deep water. The earth with her bars was about me forever. And so bars, again, referring to possibly the prison that it talks about for the spirits in prison. Yet thou hast brought me up my life from corruption. So it's interesting here, Jesus saw no corruption. However, Jonah did. And when we get to chapter 3, we're going to find, Jonah was a sign himself. Imagine a guy that's partially decomposed running into the middle of your city and saying you got 40 days until you're going to be done. God's going to judge you. If I were to do that, if I were to run over to City Hall and just start yelling and screaming, they're not going to listen to me. However, if I was partially digested, I've got these, seaweed all wrapped around me, and all of a sudden I get there, maybe somebody's going to be more apt to listen. And so it brought up my life from corruption. Oh Lord, my God. Verse 7, when my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came in unto me into thine holy temple. Now here's verse 8, what I was trying to press Pastor Matt on in the teaching. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. So, lying vanities, remember vanities is emptiness. And so this is the emptiness that we believe if we run from God that we can still please Him. It's emptiness. It's folly. And so if we do that, we forsake our own mercy. So what we learn there is if Jonah can't get away with disobedience, none of us can. But there's still mercy involved, right? There's still mercy involved. But we miss out on the initial mercy. So the message in that verse is don't quit. Jonah is agreeing with God here. Agreeing. If we observe lying vanities, if we observe the emptiness, we run from God, we expect nothing in return, we forsake our own mercy. However, God still has mercy for us lined up, and that's the whole message of Jonah anyways. But now look at verse 9. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that which I have vowed. See that? I will pay that which I have vowed. I will now do. You ever make a promise to God and then forget it? Yeah. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And that's the only, salvation that there is. It's not through me. It's not through Jonah. Not through anybody else. It's only through the Lord that we have salvation. And then verse 10. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land. And here's where I tried to search. Where was he vomited up? There's something about, I don't vomit very often. Matter of fact, the last time I vomited was at that hotel. Remember that place on the coast? Yeah, I puked up things I ate as a kid. But there's something that burns about it, right? It's kind of like sometimes when you get that, you eat the wrong thing and you get that burp and it kind of burns. Yeah, it hurts. Jonah was bathing in that for 3 days. Not Friday to Saturday night, by the way. For 3 days, 3 nights. And so when he was vomited out, it seems pretty clear then that he was vomited on the shore of the Mediterranean. I tried my best to figure out, Tarshish, if they were all the way out of Tarshish, then how long does it take to get around Cape of Good Hope and all the way back up? And then, because then you got to go up the Red Sea. Well, actually, I can show you, can't I? Look at that. We can click. Come up the Red Sea. No, I'm sorry. Come up the Persian Gulf. Sorry, I said the Red Sea. That's wrong. Come up the Persian Gulf and go all the way up the Tigris. That's a long ways, but it takes way too long. Unless it's a super whale, and if it was a super whale, then, just dumped them off at Nineveh. But I also thought up to this point that Jonah made it there in half the time of what he was supposed to. And that's because I didn't really think of how the difference in size. So, there you go. So here's the question for us on this. Are we in a problem of our own making and there's no immediate delivery? See, apparently God still listens to us. That's a good thing. God still listens to our delivery. See, here we have Jonah, whose vehicle of his delivery was a large fish, whale, whatever you want to call it. Either one's acceptable. And so he is inside of the vehicle of delivery. Jonah was already in the device of salvation from the ship. He could not swim to shore. If they were just dump him overboard and all right, swim, buddy. How far away was he? The fish had to swim for 3 days and 3 nights. Does that mean it was that distance, or just the whale circled at a certain point to make the point that it's got to be 3 days and 3 nights? I'm not sure. But if it was 3 days and 3 nights away, there's no way that Jonah's going to swim that himself. He had to be thrown off the ship. He was inside the vehicle of his salvation, and he's praying to be released from the vehicle of his salvation. But if I let you out now, you're going to die. We've got to get you to the point where you're supposed to be. So, chapter 2 is a prayer of deliverance. And then the question becomes for us, what is our big fish? I don't think anybody here is running from God on anything. But we still have big fish in our life, whether it be whether it be some sin, some bit of disobedience, cold heart, rebellion, pride. I'm not sure what to call it. Maybe it's debt. Maybe it's, whatever these other things are. What's your big fish? And so we pray for deliverance, and we want that deliverance now. But the older I get, I'm nowhere near, Joe over here on age, But the older I get, the more I realize that the concept of time is just not what I thought it was. God is not bound by time. He doesn't care about time. To him, one day is 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a day. And you go stare at a star and realize how far away that thing is. And God's got timing, and it's not based on mine. I really wish it was. Because when I pray for deliverance or something, I want out of it now. I want out of it tomorrow. But sometimes I'm in the vehicle of deliverance and I can't be let out right now. Sometimes I have to learn my lesson. And sometimes I haven't. Have you ever done that? You're in your vehicle of deliverance. You haven't learned your lesson. You get delivery and then you're right back in. Yeah, we're going to go for another trip on the ship. Because we're idiots. But I want you to notice something else here in verse 10. We'll finish with that. See, even with all the other distractions, even with Pastor Matt teaching his mini lesson there, with police showing up and everything else, we're still going to be done on time. I want you to notice this. Verse 10, and the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon dry land. Did you notice that the fish didn't look at God and say no? Why is it, why God, we as humans, I don't know why he doesn't just wipe us off the planet. Have you ever noticed that when God speaks to anything, he obeys, whatever it is, obeys? Imagine, God commanded the water to bring forth fish. Imagine if the water looked back and said no. He had told the ground to bring forth trees, and the trees to bring forth fruit. Told us to go forth and multiply. Imagine all that. Humans are the only thing in the universe that disobey God. Everything else he talks to does it, but we don't. And then we blame him when things go wrong. We blame him when things go right. We look at him and say, well, if there's evil in this world, why didn't God stop it? Well, could it be that we don't obey him and don't do it his way? And then, that's just kind of the way it works then. Humans don't obey when God speaks. And it's got to be frustrating. Has to be. I have a dog, unfortunately. And one of my goals in life is for when anybody says, hey, I'm going to get a dog, is to follow up and get in their business and say, don't do that. Puppies are cute. Especially you guys, right? It's us that get sucked into this. Oh, I want a puppy, I want a puppy, I want a puppy. But if you get them a puppy while they're 8, 9, and 10, guess what? They're not going to take the puppy with them when it's a dog, and the dog is 10, and they're moving out. You're now stuck with it. End of life care with a dog. Yeah, I'm stuck with it. I didn't want this dog in the first place. My kids did. But yet now I'm the bad guy? I saw this all coming 15 years ago. How many years ago was it?
I thought you were going to wait till someone's going to buy a dog and then tell them.
Well, if I teach it now, they'll hear it and know better. See, we guys, we get duped. You can't get duped. See, that's what you've done right, Matt. You look at your kids and say, no. No. What I do? Oh, I want a pet. Ah, here, take a couple rabbits. Well, now you have to build a pen outside. No. Well, I want some guinea pigs. And you can't buy just one guinea pig. It's mean. You got to buy 2. Oh, here's the 3rd. Oh, wait, now we have 15 guinea pigs.
Joe knows.
Yeah, but we only have 1 guinea pig.
You
We
added
bought
one.
2 initially,
Yeah,
but
you
1
added
died. So now we only have 1, and she's great. She's loving it.
Okay,
Loves
good.
having the cage all over herself.
Yeah. And here I am, trying to be a good guy. Ashley cries, oh, I want a
It's
kitty.
because you have girls. That's why you have a dog and Matt doesn't.
It's actually a good observation because, Ashley showed up downstairs. I'm at my computer one time just bawling because I showed her a picture of a kitty and she wants a kitty. And so now we got Pepper. Does she take Pepper with her when she moves? No. I'm stuck with Pepper. So then I move. And you know what? Something else stuck with Pepper. But even then, I'm the bad guy. I didn't cry for Pepper. I didn't cry for anything. I bought it. You can take a rabbit out in the middle of the forest and say, here you go, rabbit. And you're okay. People get it. Oh, rabbits belong in the wild, whatever. But if I go drop him off in the forest, here you go, all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. I don't get it. See, you're even shaking your head no. Why is that?
Domestic rabbit does not survive in the wild.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't tell you. It's circle of life. But see, here I am the bad guy. You're judging me tonight. But the whole point, now we're a couple minutes over. You call a dog, the dog comes. There's food. Yeah. We don't. You look at your dog. Hey, Emma, come here. She come. You look. Hey, Ethan, come here. You talking to me? I didn't have a necklace on them. My kids do. What? No. And so it's interesting, the fish obeys, Jonah doesn't. But he's about to, and he's about to make a trip, and he's going to get there quick, and he's going to do what he's told to do. All right, we're a couple minutes over, but you knew that was going to happen.
A whale's belly can hold up to 2,200 pounds of food.
Whoa.
So I'm not sure it was claustrophobic in there. And if you watch Jiminy Cricket, when he gets swallowed by the whale, he has a candle when he's in there, and he keeps his top hat on the whole time. So
That's true.
He was liking it.
That's true.
He was chilling down there, man.
It's probably fine.
I kind of want to hear the other stories, like, of people that have gotten swallowed. Like, if they're, are they like a long time ago, or are they recent?
Okay. One of them was by the Falkland Islands, and he was swallowed. They caught the same whale 3 days later. He was passed out, conscious, but still alive. They didn't know this until they pulled him up onto the boat and cut him open. However, again, how do you verify that? That's why I don't.
What was like his skin messed up, like that kind of stuff, like,
That's what they say.
where are the pictures?
Do you want me to email everybody links to these stories?
Sure.
I want to know.
I did read where they caught a whale, and there was another whale inside the other whale, dude.
Yo, dog.
Yeah,
I heard you like whales.
yeah. Plus, once you think nature doesn't have a will, animals never fell.
Indeed. But they have to deal with the consequences of our fall.
Exactly.
So, Colin, do you have a question?
Yeah. And it,
Anything else? So you want me to bring stories next week of people being swallowed?
Or you can just send them to me, I'm interested in
Bring some
Okay.
pictures, man. You got the slider now.
Does anybody besides Miranda want these stories?
I do.
I mean, it would be interesting, sure.
Okay.
I'm not gonna dwell on it for next week, but.
Well, I'm not going to dwell on it at all. Because, whether it happened or not, because if I give you a story, and here's why I don't give you the story, because I give you a story from here, and all of a sudden it's found, they found out that wasn't true. It doesn't mean the story of Jonah wasn't true.
Pythons have eaten people.
I don't think anybody's ever lived through that, though.
No, but I'm saying.
You're dead before it swallows you.
Right. But I'm just saying, they've done that. So, that's the thing. Yeah. Let me ask you
All
this.
kinds of stuff, huge.
How do we feel about whale sharks? That's a whole.
There is one type of shark that's listed on the possibilities that it could swallow
It's a
somebody.
whale shark, man. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a whale shark, but something like that.
Are there speculations of what type of whale it was? Like, that would be in the Mediterranean?
There's
Sea?
guesses.
Like,
But again, remember, God prepared the fish. So to me, it's speculation at that point, which I understand you enjoy. I don't. But as long as it doesn't take away from the story.
I think it makes the story more plausible to have like realistic, like a gray whale could actually do this. A blue whale could actually
But
do
it's
this.
irrelevant because God prepared the
Say God
fish.
can do whatever he wants.
It's still cool. I mean,
He could have had a whole room in there, and Jonah just sat in there thinking about how dumb he'd been.
Could have been a whale, like its own special whale, but there was one of them.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
there's a timeout.
Megatron.
That's right.
But God, I mean, God doesn't normally do the government, I mean, there's a lot of.
The dunce cap on.
Okay. Fine.
It doesn't take away from the the story, it makes it more realistic to me.
Next week we'll talk about that. We won't talk about him going to Nineveh and preaching and people repenting. We will talk about stories from history.
Yes, you have to
Yes.
find out all the sizes of whales and.
You should find out how fast they swim. I was thinking about that
Yes,
earlier.
there's lots of
I mean, there's
facts
some
there.
whales that are 110 feet long, man. I mean,
There could have been a board
And I
floating from the stuff they threw out of the ship that he was floating on.
God could have picked the whale up
Inside
out of
the
the
whale.
ocean and set him over by the land and said, there you go, spit him out.
I think that whale was just chilling. Man.
You guys just don't want a Bible study next week.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Matt doesn't.
No, I mean, I was thinking though, I mean, some whales are up to 110 feet long. And if they swim,
Do you know their brains are like 70 pounds?
their tongue is like something like the size of a small car. Or like a whale, I mean, excuse me, an elephant.
So next week, if I say sperm whale, there's no chuckling.
No. I think the blue whale is bigger than that though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But the sperm whale has like more elongated fat along the front, and his nostrils are actually uneven. It's kind of cool. I looked this up, but I didn't think it'd be interesting as part of the story.
I never
Put some
even,
context, man.
What?
I said I never even thought about it. It was just God stuck Jonah in the whale.
You and me both, but now we're gonna
3
learn.
days, he spit him out.
Now we're gonna learn.
Went to Nineveh. What does it matter?
That's what I thought. All right, fine. You're just trying to keep me from doing the Bible study series that I want to do after Jonah. It's only 2 weeks, but fine. Whatever. Anything else?
No, choir practice.
Music